At the end of the topic, you will be able to explain the causes for the First World War, discuss the immediate cause of the war. In the 19th century, statesmen and scientists predicted peace and an era of plenty. But the First World War made a mockery of this. It was known as the World War as all the countries of the world were involved either directly or indirectly. The war had its impact on the material and non-material resources of the entire world. Causes for the First World War: ambition of Germany and system of alliance.
Aggressive nationalism. Germany and Italy, which became unified by 1870s on account of aggressive nationalism, decided to dominate the European politics. This aggressive politics created a feeling of distrust among nations. England did not like the sudden growth of Germany, and France wanted to get back Alsace and Lorraine from Germany. Nations in Europe entered into secret alliances to dominate and to protect their freedom and economic interests. A triple alliance was formed in 1882 between Germany, Austria-Hungary and Italy. England joined with Russia and France and formed triple entity.
Lack of international organization. To resolve conflicting interests of nations, there was lack of active international organization. Anarchy existed in the international relations of numerous countries. The Hague Conference of 1882 and 1907, which attempted to work out some compromise, was unsuccessful.
Race for military and economic superiority. Every country in Europe now wanted to increase their military strength due to suspicion. Germany and France both were spending 5% of their national income on military. There was an aggressive competition among nations for capturing foreign markets. Germany, which entered late in the competition, surpassed England. England wanted to halt German.
Colonial and commercial rivalry. After the geographical discoveries during the 15th and 16th centuries, the race for colonies increased among European nations. The demand for raw material and market for manufactured goods increased due to Industrial Revolution. Europeans colonized Asian and African countries to exploit these nations. After unification, Germany witnessed tremendous progress. German goods flooded the international market, and this resulted in commercial rivalry between Germany and Britain. The Moroccan Problem. Britain recognized the French occupation of Morocco. Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany opposed it. He wanted to declare Morocco as an international colony. He sent 2 warships, Berlin and Panther, to Morocco. Germany withdrew her ships from Morocco when Britain intervened.
The Balkan issue. Balkan Peninsula consisted of Bosnia, Serbia, Romania, Albania, Montenegro and Greece. It was under the Islamic Turkish rule. With the decline of the Turkish power, the European nations wanted to gain access to Balkan region due to its strategic location. Russia played the card of pan-slavism as the people in the Balkan region were slaves. The Balkan states came as a single unit and liberated Macedonia from Turkey. After the war, Turkey lost control over Balkan region. Austria announced the annexation of Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1908. Serbia, backed with Russian support, strongly opposed the annexation. This provoked international crisis. The German press grossly exaggerated news of the British atrocities in the Boer War of South Africa. The newspapers in other countries carried similar attitude towards Germany. Thus, a lot of prejudicial news began circulating, leading to friction all over. The German challenge and the French affair. Germany's challenge to British domination. Germany wanted to overthrow the English statement that sun never sets in the British Empire. German Emperor Kaiser William II openly declared that Germany was not content with her supremacy over Europe. She wanted to assert her position as a world power. This arrogant behavior became a major cause for the war. Alsace and Lorraine, the industrial region of France, was annexed by Germany after the Franco-Prussian War. France was looking for an opportunity to get back these regions. France moved closer towards England to fight against Germany. Immediate cause for the war: the murder of the Austrian Crown Prince Ferdinand and his wife Sofia by a Serbian at Sarajevo ignited the final fire for the war. Serbia was called to give an explanation, but when it did not give any satisfactory explanation, Austria declared war on Serbia in July 1914. Russia declared support to Serbia and moved her forces to the German and Austrian border. Germany declared a war on Russia and France declared a war on Germany as an ally of Russia. When Germans crossed Belgium to attack France, England declared war on Germany.
In this topic, you have learnt there were many causes for the First World War: ambition of Germany, system of alliance, lack of international organization, militarism, colonial and commercial rivalry, the Moroccan Problem, the Balkan Problem, and French interest. Assassination of Prince Ferdinand was the immediate cause.
At the end of the topic, you will be able to summarize the course of the war, discuss the results of World War I, explain the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. Course of the war: War in the Western Front. On 28 July 1914, the First World War started till 11th November 1918. The Central Powers were on the side of Germany and the Allies were on the side of Britain. The Central Powers were Germany, Italy and Austria. Hungary and the Allies were Britain, France and Russia. In the war, artillery, tanks and submarines were used. Germany began the offensive and invaded France by crossing Belgium. The advance of the German forces could not be stopped by the British and French forces, yet the Allies were able to hold them in check in the Battle of Marne. Both the armies fought from trenches. A trench is a long narrow ditch used for concealment and protection in warfare. Germany and Austria were attacked by Russian forces. At the Battle of Tannenberg, Russians were defeated. Germany helped Austria when they were in a crisis. German forces brought heavy losses to the Russian forces and forced them to withdraw from Austrian territories. War in the Near East Front. Turkey supported the Central Powers and entered the war in October 1914. As communications between Russia and the Allies were cut off, it was a great setback for them. With the intention of controlling the Dardanelles and capturing Constantinople, the British tried to capture the Gallipoli Peninsula. The Dardanelles mission was a total failure. Bulgaria and Romania in the war. In 1915, Bulgaria was encouraged to join the Central Powers as the British failed in the Dardanelles expedition. In 1916, Romania joined the Allies. War on the sea. The Mediterranean Sea was controlled by the French and Italian Navy. The British Navy controlled the North Sea. In the Battle of Dogger Bank, a German battle cruiser was ruined by the British. In 1916, in the Battle of Jutland, both sides encountered heavy losses and the German fleet retreated to the port. As Germany could not break the naval blockade of Britain, it used submarines to sink the ships of the Allies. Entry of US in the First World War. Germany sank 4 merchant ships belonging to America, including Lusitania in 1917. More than 100 Americans perished in this incident. This enraged Woodrow Wilson, the American president. On 6 April 1917, Woodrow Wilson declared war on Germany. This marked the entry of America in the First World War. Withdrawal of Russia. In the war, Russia suffered major setbacks, losing both men and material. In 1917, the October Revolution in Russia was an expression of Russians' dissatisfaction with their government. Lenin dethroned the Tsar's government and Russia withdrew from the war. At Brest-Litovsk, Russia made peace with the Central Powers. End of the war. The Central Powers had some triumphs, but their defenses began to break shortly and the Germans retreated. The resistance of Turkey and Bulgaria began to fall apart and Austria sued for peace. Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany was defeated and fled to Holland in November 1918. On 11th November 1918, Germany sued for peace. Results of the war. In 1919, the Paris Peace Conference led to the end of the First World War. Clemenceau of France, Lloyd George of Britain, Orlando of Italy, and President Woodrow Wilson of America were key leaders of the conference. The peace treaty with Germany was known as the Treaty of Versailles. Separate treaties were signed with other defeated nations. the Treaty of Saint-Germain with Austria, the Treaty of Trianon with Hungary, the Treaty of Neuilly with Bulgaria, the Treaty of Severus with Turkey. The 14 points proposed by President Woodrow Wilson were drafted in the treaties. Terms of the treaties. The Covenant of the League of Nations was drawn up. A huge war indemnity was imposed on Germany. Her army was reduced. Germany surrendered Alsace and Lorraine to France. She also gave up the Saar coalfield to be occupied by France for a period of 15 years. The overseas possessions of Germany were divided among the victorious nations. Monarchy was abolished in Germany, Russia, Austria, and Turkey. It caused inestimable loss of property and human lives. In many countries, monarchies gave place to democracies. New republics of Czechoslovakia and Poland were born. The Republic of Austria and Hungary was recognized. The city of Danzig was internationalized. Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia were granted independence. The victorious nations forced the defeated nations with unfair treaties. This sowed the seeds for another world war. In this topic, you have learnt the World War began in 1914 and lasted till 1918. 5 powerful European nations and their respective colonies fought fiercely with each other. Withdrawal of Russia from the war due to internal problem, US entry and the defeat of the Central Powers. Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany, who was responsible for the war, was defeated and he fled to Holland. The victorious powers met at a peace conference in Paris to settle various political, economic and social issues. The Treaty of Versailles was signed between Germany and the Allied powers. At the end of the topic, you will be able to discuss the fundamental principles of the League of Nations, analyze the organs of the League of Nations, describe the achievements of the League of Nations, identify the causes for the failure of the League of Nations. The League of Nations. Europe was devastated after the First World War. Western countries realized the need for an international organization to avoid war in the future. In January 1919, under the leadership of Woodrow Wilson, the President of USA, a peace conference was held in Paris in which 42 countries participated. A council of 10 with 2 representatives each from America, Britain, France, Italy and Japan was formed. They worked hard for the success of the council. In the conference, a major role was played by Francis Clemenceau of France, Lloyd George of England, Woodrow Wilson of America and Orlando of Italy. The League of Nations originated on the basis of their ideas. The League of Nations. A proposal was put forward for the formation of an organization of nations in the Paris Peace Conference. The League of Nations Society founded in 1915, the World League for Peace founded in 1917, the League of Free Nations Association founded in 1918, and the League of Nations Union were other organizations that existed before the formation of the League of Nations. On 14 February 1919, the Peace Conference examined the need for maintaining peace in the world. On 20 January 1920, the League of Nations was officially founded with its headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. The fundamental principles of the League of Nations. It should improve unity among nations and keep peace and security in the world. The member nations of the League should respect and safeguard the frontiers of the neighboring nations without indulging in acts of aggression. The member nations should solve the problems arising among themselves only through the League of Nations. They should wait at least for 3 months to hear from the League of Nations. If any of the member nations indulge in war violating the conditions of the League, the affected nations would be saved, even by resorting to the use of the weapons of war. All treaties contrary to the principles of the League of Nations should be given up. Organs of the League of Nations: the General Assembly, the Council, the Secretariat, International Court of Justice, International Labour Organization. Achievements of the League of Nations. The League of Nations succeeded in solving various problems during its existence for about 20 years, which deserve appreciation. It settled a problem between Finland and Sweden regarding the ownership of Åland Island in Baltic. It solved a boundary dispute in Silesia and prevented a war between Poland and Germany. It settled a dispute between Greece and Italy over the island of Corfu. It avoided a war between Greece and Bulgaria over the border disputes. In 1926, Germany was admitted as a member of the League of Nations, followed by Soviet Russia in 1934. It solved a border issue between Peru and Colombia. Through its organs, the League prevented the spread of many diseases. It extended its helping hand in solving the problems of refugees and lepers. It wholeheartedly promoted cultural cooperation among the nations. It attempted to raise the standard of education in various states. The International Court of Justice handled more than 30 cases. It delivered judgments in some cases and in some others gave advisory opinions. Causes for the failure of the League of Nations. The main aim of the League of Nations of resolving disputes among nations through peaceful means was not successful. The United States of America, whose president was responsible for founding the League of Nations,